When did you make a decision that no one understood, but you had to? I was 19 when I decided to drop out of medical school 3 weeks before finals. Everyone thought I'd lost my mind. My parents had sacrificed everything for my education. Dad worked double shifts at the factory, coming home exhausted. Mom cleaned houses on weekends, scrubbing toilets so I could have a future. They'd mortgaged our home twice to pay tuition. "You're throwing your life away," Mom sobbed when I told them, clutching the acceptance letter I'd received from Johns Hopkins for my residency. "We gave up everything for this." But they didn't know what I knew. It started during my pediatric rotation at Riverside Children's Hospital. Dr. Hendricks was the head of surgery, brilliant, respected, destined to write recommendation letters that could make careers. All the students competed for his attention, staying late to impress him, volunteering for extra shifts. I noticed things others didn't. How certain children would flinch when he entered their rooms. How parents would suddenly request different doctors for follow-up visits without explanation. How the nursing staff would find excuses to stay nearby during his examinations, clustering around doorways like protective sentries. The breaking point came when I was assigned to assist with 8-year-old Phoenix's appendectomy. Standard procedure. Should have been routine. But afterward, in recovery, Phoenix was inconsolable in a way that didn't match his medical condition. The nurses called it surgical trauma. But something felt wrong. When his mother stepped out to get coffee, Phoenix grabbed my hand with surprising strength. "He touched me wrong," he whispered, his eyes wide with terror. During the medicine sleep, in places that hurt, my blood went cold. I started paying closer attention, staying late to review surgical footage from the hospital's security system, talking to recovery nurses off the record during shift changes. What I discovered made me physically sick. There were patterns. Always the same vulnerable patients, kids from broken homes, foster children, anyone without advocates, always when anesthesia was involved. I gathered evidence for 2 weeks, documenting everything. Video timestamps showing unusual surgical positioning, recovery testimonies from children who remembered fragments through sedation, notes from nurses who'd been too afraid to speak up. When I presented everything to the hospital administration, they called me delusional. "Dr. Hendricks has saved thousands of children," the chief administrator said. "You're a stressed student experiencing paranoid episodes. Perhaps psychiatry would be a better fit for you," the dean suggested coldly, already reaching for my dismissal paperwork. That night, I made copies of everything and sent them to the state medical board, the police, and 3 investigative journalists. Then I walked into the registrar's office and withdrew from school. My family was devastated. Friends stopped calling, convinced I'd sabotaged my own future. My professors blacklisted me from other programs, spreading rumors about my mental instability. 6 months later, Dr. Hendricks was arrested in handcuffs during morning rounds. The investigation revealed a decade of systematic abuse. 17 victims came forward, some now adults who'd buried their trauma for years. During the trial, the prosecutor called me as a key witness. "Why did you risk your career for this?" she asked in front of the packed courtroom. I looked at Phoenix's parents in the gallery, his mother clutching tissues, his father's jaw clenched with rage. "Because some things are more important than a degree," Phoenix's mother mouthed "thank you" through her tears. "I never became a doctor. Instead, I work for a nonprofit that investigates medical misconduct. The pay is terrible. My parents still don't fully understand why I threw away their sacrifices. But every time we expose another predator, I remember Phoenix's whispered words. Some decisions cost you everything, but staying silent would have cost more."